DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
Good evening, everyone. We are here on a Tuesday night ready to talk about all those things in life that you are always wondering about. Tonight is the night you're going to get the answers.
Just in case you were wondering.
Any topic whatsoever. You might have had that little thing on the shoulder that's been acting up and causing issues. Tonight, we're going to give you answers for that.
Yeah, Dr. John.
Tonight, we're going to cover things like, that little noise that's in the back of the office that's just driving me absolutely buggy after Brian mentioned it.
Yeah, I pointed it out. No, you can't stop hearing it.
Exactly. There's a cricket. Where is it?
It's in the microphone, I think.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it sounds like. But good evening. Thank you for joining us. We should be going, I think we're both live on both YouTube and Facebook, it looks like. So yay, rah, rah. I can't see the Facebook one, but I can see the chat. So whatever works. So tonight we're going to be covering a few different things.
Yeah.
We got a few things. And one, Brian, I wanted to get, you've been super busy this past week. You've been doing some videos and different things and such, but I want to get up when we can start to do some music shows. What do you think we're going to have we'll be able to start getting into the playing of and talking about music again? Because I've had people asking again. They're like, I really like those shows. They go back and they look at some of those shows that we were doing like a decade and going through things. So I have to ask, when is the schedule going to slow down so we can jump on that again?
When am I going to be able to? Yeah, let's shoot for next week. Let's shoot for it. I have no idea what we'll do it on, but I should have time to put things together between now and then.
Cool.
Because, yeah, the month's wrapping up. I don't know if you've noticed or not, but the calendar is running out here. So everything that I was supposed to do this month, I got to do it now. Like write articles for Disc Jockey News, which I handled last weekend.
You did.
But there are other things that certain people expect from me to do before the end of the month, especially when they're sponsoring the channel. So I've kind of been on that, and I haven't been moving as fast as I'd like to, but I'm working on it. I'm working on trying to get stuff wrapped up. As soon as I do, I'll dive into the technical side of things, and hopefully we can get those music shows going next week.
Yeah, that's that would be very cool, and we can figure out what we want to talk about and such. And if you guys have got an idea of something you'd like us to dig into, I know someone had mentioned kind of that yacht rock. They like.
Oh, that would be fun.
That was so a bunch of the things that could be used during that cocktail dinner time, because I know we've referred to that numerous times when we did our music shows. But they're like, if we could actually hear some of those songs.
Yeah. I mean, you know what I've been having a lot of fun with this week is the music from Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I wrote my article kind of on that and how we might be able to slip those tracks into our DJ sets. Mm-hmm. But really, quite frankly, I mean, programming is programming. You play what you play, you don't what you don't. Some stuff you'll find relative to what you do for work, but this is just fun for me. I just enjoy the music, whether or not I'm playing it for anybody else. And that's, I think, where sometimes I want to just pull my hair out when somebody says, this has nothing to do with my wedding. Who cares? Don't you like music? That's kind of the point, This is, DJing and this stuff is an extension of my love for music. It's not the other way around. So, I don't know. My music shows are going to get a little goofy. They're going to not be self-absorbed, I guess, but they're not particularly going to be maybe something you're going to want to use at a gig. It's just, hey, check this out. This is kind of cool.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of a mix. There's going to be some things that are going to be that different, and there's going to be some things that will be, yep, this is one that definitely could be used in different spots. A lot of the times, though, when we were talking about music and you were playing some of these songs, or after the show, we'd go and play some of the songs on YouTube, and it just kind of stirs a memory, and it's like, oh, that reminds me of this track or this, and you end up going down this rabbit hole and remembering some tracks and such. There's one of them that I moved into my dinner repertoire. That was one that I hadn't played for quite a while, and did that. I've used that a couple of times. So,
what's interesting to me is this whole lexicon thing with meaning what tracks are kind of in people's minds. There are songs in film that pop up more often than not. You're getting, I guess, old tracks in new movies and TV shows. It's more likely that that's going to happen than you're going to hear a brand new track.
Yeah.
They used to do that. They don't do that anymore because now there's so much writing on that track. And quite frankly, what's happening with music sales these days? Not a lot. And there's some pretty hardcore licensing fees for some of this stuff. So if it's a less known track with maybe a less expensive licensing fee, they're going to use it in TV and movies. And it's, older stuff that was maybe kind of throwaway or forgotten about. But if it's on a popular TV show or a movie, it's back in the lexicon, and maybe we should use this stuff,
Oh, yeah.
Wait for them to tell us to use it. Sometimes we should just go ahead and just go for it and throw on like Red Bones, Come and Get Your Love, or throw on, whatever, Mr. Blue Sky by ELO or Lakeshore Drive or whatever. I don't know. Just getting ahead of myself. That's the show coming up maybe another day. Today we had something else on schedule.
Yeah, we have something else, and I wanted to just before we wrap up the music side of it. This past weekend, I had a wedding, and it was actually an interesting wedding from the standpoint that it had more under 20-year-old, and it had more teenagers. I bet there were probably 35 teenagers there, and that never happens at weddings.
Yeah.
And the interesting part about that was, okay, so the teenagers were kind of friends of the bride and groom, and they were cousins and such. The bride and groom were in their 20s, their late 20s. The parents then were probably in their late 40s, early 50s, and that the uncles and such. And that really was the crowd. So oldies for this particular, and we've talked about this before, is that the people who are dancing, oldies for them is now 80s music, really, because that's when they grew up. Interesting part about it was, as you've got this younger generation on the dance floor, these teenage girls who know obviously the new music because of their world, but
third generation,
how well they knew some of the classic songs that we would typically play that from that 80s era was just, it surprises me when I go to a high school and I'm playing some of those songs, just to decide, oh, somebody wants that, and let's try something. And it just can flop so incredibly. But yet here's a crowd of kids who enjoy dancing and probably have been, with all family weddings, maybe more involved. But the reaction of, Hurts So Good from John Cougar. The kids are out there and they're singing along, and they know all the words, not just the hook and such. They knew the whole thing, which was not the most difficult song in the world because we've heard it.
No, but it was well before they were born. That would be like us knowing every word to, and I guess perhaps a Jerry Lee Lewis song that isn't Great Balls of Fire, or something like that. It would be kind of the same thing. Yeah.
It was a lot of fun to be able to have the response, and to have then, because the younger people were into it, then the 40-something people were into it because that was some of the music, and then you had the in essence grandparents that were into it, that are in their 60s. It was really no, there really wasn't much drinking. It was ironic that this particular day and night was mentioned they were drinking at the open bar. That was the venue. I don't think was overly happy with that, because when you have that kind of an age crowd and a family event like that, there isn't the heavy drinking you would have if you have everyone over 21 and they have keg after keg after keg.
Right.
They just didn't have that. So they were really trying to push the popcorn, the salty popcorn at the event. Come on, eat more popcorn.
Eat more pretzels. Eat some peanuts. Something. Get thirsty. Yeah.
So that was. And then this weekend I'm actually doing a little bit older wedding at the same venue, and really in many ways running the same thing. So I'm really kind of excited to be able to compare and contrast and such from one to the other.
Hey, I just got a brilliant idea. I just got a great idea. You're talking about that, and I'm thinking to myself, if I were a venue owner and I'm seeing younger crowds or non-drinking crowds.
Mm-hmm.
How cool would it be to do Starbucks or some kind of coffee bar instead?
Oh, yeah.
You still premium drink prices, but it's coffee.
Oh, geez.
Keeps you awake.
And most of those kids are very comfortable ordering whatever it is at Starbucks. And they'll go and drop their $5.
And they just have like this coffee pot in the corner as an afterthought with some styrofoam cups usually. So we can have some coffee. But man, if you did some gourmet coffee stuff at a wedding, it'd be a pain in the butt to do. It would be harder than bartending, but you could make dough.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Just a
interesting
random thought there for you.
Yeah, really, it was. I've been to some youth camps when I was working as a youth pastor, and that was one of the things they would make. They'd have a evening coffee bar. It's like I never understood why at 9 o'clock at night we're having coffee, making coffee drinks, and they had all the fixings to make some really elaborate cream type coffee drinks with all the different flavorings and things. And that was really kind of a cool thing. So yeah, that would actually, a coffee bar at a wedding would be kind of fun. But then there's the people who would be like, oh, coffee after 8 o'clock, you wouldn't want to do that.
Well, you could do smoothies too. I mean, it wouldn't just it could be non-alcoholic stuff. So you have your bar, and then for those who are not drinking or underage, they can get smoothies, they can get coffees, they can get whatever over here. So
especially, I could just see it if you had your reception early, or excuse me, the ceremony early, and there's that time, especially at this particular venue, we have the ceremonies at 4 o'clock, and then they will go out on a boat because it's at a lake. So they will go out on a 45-minute boat ride. Well, that's kind of a dead time. What a perfect time to do a coffee bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be a lot. And that keeps the kids and the adults and
well, if you think about it, a lot of people, after they've gone through the whole day of somebody's wedding reception and they've had the dinner, big meal, whatever, maybe they're tired. Maybe they need to pick me up, and maybe they don't drink. I don't drink black coffee. Yeah. I don't drink it. I don't, Howie got mad at me because he called me. He's like, I'm going to Starbucks. What do you want? I'm like, yeah, I'll do a venti mocha frappuccino. He's like, what the hell? Are you American or what? What kind of order is that? He's expecting me to say, 2 creams, I'm not that guy. I don't drink it like that. But
I can see how he's saying it. I can just imagine. What the hell? Are you American or what?
How kind of? What is that? What you an American drink? Jesus Christ! Sorry, Howie. That's what I want. You asked. So
yeah, you asked. That's you're gonna get the answer. Yeah, I could see that if a person could figure out a way to make that like the next chocolate fountain, when the DJs were able to offer that, and for a brief window.
No, I don't think you want to do it like that. I think you want to do it where you actually have somebody come in and do this as an artisan. You want baristas.
Yeah, you'd have to really do
the real thing.
You'd have to really do it.
Because otherwise you're getting some hag job in there who doesn't know what they're doing, and it's gross. But
yeah,
if you get a barista or two in there to service an event like that, I think you could do well.
Yeah, so. And I think it could be something that could be, in essence, catered in, because a lot of the venues aren't going to invest in that until it's been done.
Or how about these local coffee shops, or even Starbucks offers mobile service, kind of like the food trucks.
Yeah,
there's a coffee truck, or we have the coffee bar we offer, and this one serves 150 and this one serves 200, and you can have us from this time to this time. And I don't know, just thinking out loud.
Oh,
yeah, Tim Hortons good too.
Yeah, just reading the Big Mac here, talking about a wedding where there was a fight and pulled a gun out and shot it. I've never had that. I can't say.
Random thoughts on Disc Jockey News here. This is what's going on.
So tonight's topic, we'll get into our topic for tonight. Yes. Yeah. Brian, you did a video. Actually, you threw the question out. So let's start from the question and kind of build in of the progression of where that's gone this week. It's been an interesting dialogue that I've been following online.
You always do this to me.
I know.
So I have to go back and try to figure out what my thought process was. I had posted a video. A friend of ours in Canada was saying that he's done his last wedding. He's tired of going out there and just beating his brains out for weeks at a time just to make somebody's day special. He's stressed out. He doesn't like it anymore. He's retired from weddings. So I did a video saying, hey, I get it. I know how it is to have these difficult clients and really put your all into it and just get really worn down. And I had said, I'm not really experiencing that now because I'm being more selective with my client base, and I'm not doing it. I didn't mean to do it that way, but it worked out that way because I'm taking less agency jobs where I'm the potluck DJ they end up with, and they're the potluck client I end up with. I'm not bulking on my prices. If somebody calls me and says, well, can't you do it for $500? I'll just say, no, good luck. I won't try to negotiate with them on this
Right.
stuff. I want to work with people who want to work with me because they like me, not because of my price. And that's really helped. I've weeded out a lot of the knuckleheads that way. That's basically what I said in the video. And UK people popped in and said, it's nice that you have that luxury. We have to take whatever we can get. We're not getting a lot. If we're lucky, some of us are only getting 170 quid, 200 quid, 275 quid, or less sometimes. And the comments keep coming like that. Multiple comments like that. And when I used to go to the UK, I used to talk to these folks at BPM, or, some of them I was, real friendly with, and I'd come to their homes, meet their families, and they'd tell me about what they were getting for their services. And it wasn't a lot. It's like, wow, really? That's it? And I always kind of wanted to reach out and throw some ideas out at them. But what I learned real fast are a couple of things. But the main thing is that a lot of times they really don't want to hear what the Yank has to say about things. They do not want an American telling them what's what. They're up to here with American culture, with the politics, with McDonald's, with Walmart, all that stuff. The last thing they want to do is hear from a Yank telling them what's what, how to run their business. So I kind of backed off, but I'm feeling brave, and I'm approaching it now as carefully as possible, letting them know I'm not here to tell them what's what. That's not my intention. What my intention is, quite frankly, is to listen right now and try to figure out what's going on and to see if I can help. And I don't have any delusions about changing the face of the UK DJ industry. What I would like to do is maybe help somebody, though, maybe something I say or an observation that I make or a suggestion that I make might help somebody over there. And that's all I want. But I'm focused on them right now, just whether I should be or not. That's what I'm thinking about right now, are the UK DJs, and maybe how maybe I can help. But I am listening for now. I have ideas, but I really want to hear, concerns and questions and all that kind of stuff first, I guess.
So would you, comparing the UK market and what you know of that compared to a larger market here, Chicago, New York, what have you, would that be more progressive in the UK as far as the business of it, or do you think it's more progressive, what have you, here? And
much more progressive here, much more. And my travels within this industry as far as shows and just meeting people and such. I mean, I talk to people from all over the world, but I've gone and I've seen everything from, I guess, the West Coast of the US all the way into probably Germany. I've kind of seen what's going on with people. And I would say that the East Coast of the US is probably the strongest market I've seen. The DJs there are solid. They're focused. They're commanding a relatively decent wage. And I'm talking about right on the coast. There's people inland a little bit that are struggling, but I mean, I know guys who are, getting $5K a gig, and they're not particularly followers of, the gurus.
Yeah.
So they're just doing it on their own. They're not watching Mark Farrell. They're not really involved with Drax, but they're commanding these prices for the events that they're doing. And, in the weakest market I've seen is the UK.
Mm-hmm.
It's saturated, and there's really a poor public perception of what a DJ is over there, I think. But yeah, I mean, Midwest, I think where we are right here, we're good in the middle of things. We're not the best, but we're definitely not the worst. We're doing pretty good right here in the Midwest overall, in my area anyway. We're doing pretty well. Chicago, I hear people talking from Indiana, even Michigan, who are doing pretty well. Once you get out west, some people struggle.
Yeah.
Especially Southwest. Northwest is different, but Southwest, they struggle. But yeah, the UK is a very, very, very different animal. I mean, you kind of have to look at their culture in general to try to wrap your head around what's even, going on over there.
Mm-hmm.
And in my limited observations, which is probably about a dozen trips over there, I've got some insight, a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. I do have, like I said, I have suggestions, but I want to listen. I really want to listen to these folks.
Yeah.
Before I prematurely just start telling them what to do. And sure. I don't want to tell them what to do. I only want to offer suggestions and see if I can help and see if I can because you know how it is. I mean, something's wrong. You've got a project you're working on. You can't get your head around how to fix it. And your neighbor comes over and you say, yeah, I got this problem. Could use a second set of eyes on this. And they have a look at it and they say, well, what if you tried this and this? And you're like, yeah, there you go. I just want to be a second set of eyes for him. That's all, from a different point of view, and maybe help them out. Or I guess I should say one way perhaps that I can help is to kind of go back and think about where I've been, where we were as an industry, maybe in the Milwaukee area 15 years ago, and where we are today. It's a very different place. So maybe even those types of analogies might help them out. I don't know.
It's just here to help. It's a tough thing because we go back 20 years ago, 20 years ago, and the weddings that we did, at least the weddings that I was involved with, they were generally 200 to 300 people, sometimes up to 500 people weddings. And yeah, the entertainment wasn't a real focus to a point, but you had such large events, and because they were so large, you weren't having 10 weddings going on in a town. From my understanding, talking to a couple of my friends who are over there, they're like, you can find basically you walk down a street, you're going to run into 10 DJs because it's such a as you mentioned earlier, saturated market. And that makes it more difficult, of course, because of the competition. But then if you don't have larger events, if you're having a 20-person wedding reception, which I've heard them talk about, that they've done small, basically a back room wedding reception. Is it something that just because of the way the type of events that are there, that they don't have the events that are going to be able to pay $500 to $1,000? Is that possible?
Perhaps, but I really think this has a lot to do with public perception of things. I think because there are so many DJs, it's like anything else. I mean, if somebody says, "Hey, I need a guy to do the roof on my house," and you get 5 estimates, I mean, some people are going to pick the cheapest one, especially if they really feel like that. It doesn't matter. A roof is a roof is a roof. Mm-hmm. Guys come to the house, come to find out there are problems with this. They're not insured. They're not doing a great job. They're cutting corners. People aren't showing up. There are cigarette butts all over your yard. I mean, a lot of things can happen that you weren't thinking about. And so it's like, okay, now maybe I should have gone in somewhere in the middle, or, if I really wanted it done, bang up, it's going to last for a very, very long time. It's going to be done really fast. Maybe I should have gone with the more expensive guy. So I think that's perception. Something else that's really interesting over in the UK that I observed as an American is that customer service is lacking. It just isn't something that you get over there in general. And I was thinking about this today because I remember, I know I've told you this story, but I was over at BPM, which is their big show in Birmingham. And the 80J crew over there was breaking down real late. We were tired. We were hungry. We were exhausted. And we were at the mercy of somebody else to kind of drive us back and forth between the convention center and the hotel. We didn't have our own cars. There was no public transportation. We didn't know where we were going. Mm-hmm. So, everybody on the crew had to wait for, everyone to be done, loaded out and out of there before we could leave the venue. And one of the reps at the time said, well, I know it's late, but we're going to eat. McDonald's is open. Oh, God. I can't stand McDonald's. I don't eat it. But it's like, if I go to McDonald's, what I can usually eat is like just some kind of grilled chicken sandwich, not the breaded one, but the grilled. Yeah. In a pinch, I'm good with that. I don't eat the fries, but grilled chicken is grilled chicken. That on a bun, maybe with some mustard or something, and I'm cool. Mm-hmm. I've done it before in a pinch. So we go there. I'm in line, and I asked the girl at the counter. I said, "Yeah, I didn't even look at the menu. I knew they had something. There's like a BLT. It's a chicken, lettuce, bacon. There's a chicken ranch. There's a chicken this and that." Sure. But I just said to her, all I really want is a grilled chicken breast between 2 pieces of bread and some mustard. And she looked at me and she said, "Sorry." Well, don't be sorry. Just make my sandwich. Well, I can't do that. I'm sorry. Like, what do you mean? Do you have chicken breast? Yeah. Do you have mustard? Yeah. You got bread? Yeah. Then make me my sandwich. Sorry. I need to speak to a manager right now. And I got loud because I was pissed. I was tired and hungry. And to make a long story short with the manager thing, they came up and they gave me what I needed. Explained to her, all you had to do was ring up the one with lettuce on it and then minus the lettuce, add mustard, But the girl working the counter did not give a shit about what I wanted. But when I lost it, everybody who was from England, who was with us, or the UK, looked at me like I was Tony Soprano, like I was ready to whack somebody, like I was being the ugly American. How dare you complain? How dare you get loud? I'm like, well, wait a minute. Hold on a second. I'm asking for something and it's right here and she's not doing it. But they don't complain over there. You don't do that. You just accept it. I had the same experience when I was trying to get a SIM card for my mobile phone over there. It's awful. But I will say this, if you go to a nice restaurant, like a nice restaurant, you get service. Very good service. Or if you go to a very nice hotel, you get very nice service with concierges, and they're very polite and they're dressed very well and they're very well spoken. So I'm kind of thinking about that, John. I'm thinking to myself, okay, so most people over there are of the perhaps income bracket where they're not used to getting this customer service that I'm talking about.
Right.
The general American, just customer service. We're actually pretty good at that over here, believe it or not. They don't have the money to pay up to get it. But when I sell my services, John, I don't know about you, maybe you can back me up on this. I'm not really selling this, I'm going to go DJ free for 5 hours. It's something completely different. I'm selling peace of mind that I'm going to help them out, that I understand I've been there. I'm going to help them build their event. Mm-hmm. I'm not just there to play music. I'm there to facilitate things. I'm there to help keep them organized. I'm there to help.
Yeah.
That's what I sell. Any monkey could play tunes for 5 hours. Mm-hmm. Some can do it better than others. I understand that. But I'm not just a DJ. Maybe that's kind of where I'm going to try to help them out.
The idea of being able to convey that message that I'm more than just a DJ, and we've seen people over the years where they've made that checklist, and that leads into the 5 things to ask a DJ. Oh, will you make announcements? Oh, will you be dressed on? Oh, will you be doing? There's just, how do you convey that message and such? And that actually, I'm going to circle that around because of that idea. You mentioned the roofers and hiring someone to come in there and do that. And I was thinking as you were talking about that, if the roofers decided they were going to convey that message to you that, well, the reason why we charge more is because, we're insured. We won't leave cigarette butts on the ground. We won't be drinking beer on a job. We're not going to peek into too many windows, whatever these things that are negative.
Yeah. My guys have worked for me for 10 years. They're licensed contractors. We're all licensed contractors. Clean up every night.
Yeah. I
mean, done right. We're guaranteeing our work.
As someone who's hired people and working on the back, for backside of this, and we've seen the bad and we know the crews that are good, that makes sense to us and it's logical. Now, if a person has never really been involved with construction and has the roof that's leaking and they need to get someone, and a vendor, a roofing contractor comes in and says, hey, here's why you should be spending a little bit more on this, does that turn more people off than it does, attract them or educate them? Because we always say we need to educate those clients, but where does it start to turn off the clients? Because all they're doing is lecturing me, man, and I don't want to do business with somebody who's lecturing me.
You're right. It's all about the approach. Now, my parents, they live next door to a gentleman who has a premium construction company, mm-hmm. Jim Farrell. He did the roof, the flat roof over our bathroom in the back. And the balcony has a flat roof on it, where Stevie's room is.
Yep.
It was leaking. I didn't know what to do. Man, they came in and they really did a nice job. And I paid dearly for it. Oh, my gosh. But it's done right. I'll never have to redo it. They completely overbuilt it. They tore everything off like I'm looking at the sky from the bathroom. Ooh. And started over. And it's gorgeous. They even put a new door up in her room, and it opens and closes better than any other door in my house. I mean, they did a fantastic job, The thing that I find is interesting about guys like Jim is, see, I called Jim and I said, hey, look, I need a flat roof, put up here. What can you do it for? And I know Jim's work. He built an addition on my parents' house that I actually contracted. I designed it and had an architect do it, and Jim built it. I'll go back 2001, something like that. Anyway, Jim comes in and gives me a price. I'm like, oh, Jesus. I said, I know I know you're cutting corners for me and I appreciate it, but wow. Okay, fine. Let's do it. If I would have said, oh, it's too much, you know what Jim would have said? That's cool. Hey, thanks for thinking of me anyway. We'll see you later. Because Jim doesn't need my business.
Right.
Because he's good. When I get somebody over here who's like begging me to, oh, we're gonna do it for you, man. I'll do it cheaper than anybody else. Come on, let me do this for you, man. My crew's right here, man. We do good work with it. He's begging for the work. He's dying for the work. He needs the work. He's desperate. Come on, why is he desperate? Jim isn't desperate, and he's charging 4 times the money, maybe more. You know, but this guy is desperate. He's trying to talk me into it. There's something wrong. It's really inexpensive. I'm kind of like, I don't know. So I think you got to be careful about it. What I don't want to do is talk too much about the money part of it, though, either. Because, I mean, a lot of people aren't hot for money. A lot of people are hot for, you know, going out there and working because they love this thing of ours. So I think it's more about, you know, your approach and your willingness to say no once in a while, I guess.
And the approach is so critical. And you were alluding or talking about the desperation that comes through sometimes. And that is so critical when you're having that communication, having that level of confidence. And as Jim would do is basically, you know, thank you for thinking of me, but Jim's comfortable walking away. There wasn't a desperation in he wasn't apologizing for what he was going to be charging you for that roof. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And I think that's one of the areas that a lot of guys who are struggling with price, guys and gals, is that they come at it instead of, you know, how much do you charge? Well, I charge you $2,000. I charge $2,000 for weddings, and there will be someone will be like, I charge $2,000 for a wedding. Will you please hire me? You know, there's a difference in that, and if you're coming in, you're basically apologizing for your price before you even get there. You're going to struggle. That's desperation. It will eat you alive. And I've sat with DJs who are as talented or more talented than myself, who were quoting and talking to a bride because of whatever reason I happened to be there, and they were charging so little, and they were apologizing for charging $500 as an example. And it's like, we were done. It's like, why did you do that? And they're like, well, that's my rate. But so, yeah, did you know how you said it? And I repeated back to them how they said it, and it's like, yeah. Well, did it sound desperate? Kinda. Did you sound like you had any confidence in your ability? No, I guess I didn't. And that's really, I think, a big part of it is that being able to communicate and communicate confidently and to be able to walk away.
I don't think overnight someone's going to be able to come in and just say, hey, look, I'm more than a DJ. I've seen this done a lot. I've seen what works, what doesn't work. What I want to do is work with you and help you create the event that you really want. So don't think of me as just the guy who's playing music. Think of me kind of as your consultant, your wedding consultant. Not your wedding planner, not your wedding coordinator, but your wedding consultant. It's a little different. That's the person who has seen great receptions, bad receptions, great ways to organize toasts, bad ways to do it, good ways to structure the evening, bad ways to structure the evening. I mean, just somebody who kind of has a clue. Don't think that most clients in the UK expect the DJ to show up and know what they're doing beyond playing tunes. I don't think they expect any more than that. I think it's a start, though. I think if you can come in, you can start like that and even just kind of, you know, put some value on that to help boost those prices up a little bit. I think you're in good shape. You're going to be in better shape. It's not going to change overnight for anybody, I don't believe.
Yeah.
It takes time. And then what happens is you become that DJ that people want to work with. So if they can't get you for that date, they've lost out because you're the person they want, because they've heard great things. Or they saw you at this other event. Oh, it was wonderful. And then you explain to them, oh, yeah, you saw me at that event. By the way, you know, I was coordinating that event. I was in there consulting. And a lot of those ideas were mine. That was a custom event because everybody's party is different. But let me help you create yours, you know, and I'm not just a DJ for this. And the other thing is that people come in a lot and say, well, how much? I'm not an arbitrary price DJ guy. I'm not sitting here thinking anything that looks even kind of like, I wonder what they would pay, or I wonder how much I can get out of them. I'm not that guy. I've got a business plan. I've got it written down where it says how much things cost. So if people say something to me like, well, why does it cost $1,200 or or whatever it is. And I say, look, I'll bring about $6,000 worth of equipment to your event. And if we were to rent this stuff, it would cost between 10 to 20% of the, full retail price of this equipment, plus setup and delivery. Well, I don't do that. I own this equipment and I'll do it for 5%. And 5% is going to come out to what, $350. Mm-hmm. So, there's that part. Also, I've got office expenses. I've got music expenses, and just operating expenses in general. That's going to come out to, probably another $150 on the conservative side. Then I have to pay myself.
Yeah.
For not only the time that I'm there at your event, but all the prep that goes into it. And we're probably looking at, between 25 and 40 hours for the average event, maybe more. And then they kind of get it, like, oh, okay. So in essence, if I asked you to do this for $500, you would be doing it for free. If I asked you to do it for $400, it would cost you $100 to come to my wedding.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't think most people want to hurt you.
Mm-hmm. I would agree.
I don't believe they do. I know there are some terrible people out there, but I don't think most people want to harm you. I think they just don't know. But if you as a DJ or entertainer or whatever you are, if you're picking an arbitrary number out of thin air just because you think you can get it, with no real numbers to back it up, yeah, people are going to question you. Not only your price, but your integrity. How did you come up with this number? Why is it $10,000? Why? I am sure Mark Farrell has a great line that you can use to justify that to somebody. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure he's got one. Me, I can't look somebody in the eye and do that. Not right now. Maybe someday. If there were a lot of add-ons, maybe I could. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, I had one DJ tell me that they went in and they did this wedding from I think it was 8 to 1 was their time, and a photo booth came in from 8 to 11. It was 8 to 10 was when the photo booth.
Yeah, it was shorter. Yep, I remember the post.
Did you see it?
Yes, I saw that, and I
continue. Yeah, and he talked to the DJ and he said, hey, or the DJ talked to the photo booth, and the photo booth guy said, yeah, I'm getting like, 400 quid for this. And the DJ's like, 400 quid for 2 hours. I'm only getting, 100 or 250 quid. How are you getting 400? Like, well, this guy's got a business plan, and he had to buy media for this, and he knows how much it costs. And he had to buy props. He's got to pay for his booth. He had to pay for his gas to get there. That's why. And he probably explained this to the client. And the client said, oh, that's why, how much? Mm-hmm. And then the argument is when they come back to you and say, well, how come the guy down the street or the bloke down the street can do it for 80 quid? All you got to say is, look, I don't know what their business plan is, but these are my numbers and here they are. And this is what it's going to take. And quite frankly, if they balk or they just say they want to think about it or whatever, walk away. They're not your client. Mm-hmm. Not everyone is your client. When you were just giving it away and begging people to enter into this relationship with you, yeah, you want it all, you're going to have to take it all. If I wanted to I don't know, if I wanted to have like an endless supply of women in my life, every woman that I met, I would like take on as a girlfriend. I had all these multiple girlfriends. Any woman who agreed to be a girlfriend with me, I decided to be a girlfriend with her. How happy would I be? How great would all of those relationships be? And with the girlfriends that were actually cool, would they be satisfied? Maybe if I had just chosen one of those girls who was just fantastic, we'd have been okay. But I'm trying to take on all of these girls just because they've agreed to enter into a relationship with me. And that's what, I signed up for. You'll take me, I'll take you. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make any sense. These are relationships. These are not just business transactions. You got to be in the right relationship.
Yes, very, very much so.
You have to.
Especially when you get into weddings. And Bar is mentioned birthday parties. And not every event is going to be able to allow you the same money opportunities. And I talk about opportunities quite often is that there's going to be somebody in your market or many that will spend $2,000 for premium birthday party entertainment. Not many. Not, I mean, the most likely the opportunities for that are very thin. Whereas there's probably more opportunities for people to spend more money on their wedding DJ, especially if you are in an area that has venues that require people to invest more money because they just understand, okay, I've got to spend this much on the venue and I want it to be nice. Now I want to have a DJ or entertainment that's going to be nice and fit this. And generally those things kind of go hand in hand.
I mean, I'm sympathetic to anybody who says we don't have a lot of cash. I am sympathetic to that. I know how it is. I don't always have a lot of cash to do the things I want to do.
Yeah.
I do things on the cheap. I fix my own cars. You know, if I didn't live the way that I lived, as frugally as I live, as far as the way that I acquire things like groceries, I don't go to the local grocery store. I drive a few miles to the one where I can get it for less. I don't buy new cars. I buy wrecked cars and I fix them and drive them because I can have cars that way. If I didn't do these things, I couldn't have these things. It's not like I got this big stockpile of money I saved somewhere. I don't. I didn't have it in the first place. This is what I had to do. So I'm sympathetic. However, if it costs me $400 to show up, if that's the number, and I'm not saying that is, I'm just saying if that's the number it costs me to show up, when you take into consideration all my out-of-pocket expenses, equipment rental, you know, whatever, then if I charge any less than $400, I'm losing money. I'm literally losing money. I'm paying to leave the house. If I only charge $400 for this event, I'm doing it for free. Whereas if I charge, I don't know, $650 for this event, you know, I'm making $250 on a Friday night. You know, it's better than the kick in the butt.
Yep. So
I'm not telling you what to charge, folks. I don't want to do that. All I'm telling you is that, you know, whenever you go out there, just make sure you're not losing money on the deal. And if you think that anything that they give you is a profit, you're wrong. It's got to be above and beyond your expenses. Has to be. Otherwise, it's a loser.
Yeah, and that's part, I think, that most people, the expenses side of it, they just don't put that into the equation. And to a point, because as soon as you start adding the expenses up, and even I've found in my own world, when I start adding the expenses up and doing, okay, the cost of the gear and depreciating that, and then my cell phone and my truck that I need to have and all these different things. Yes, I might have a cell phone for other things, but the business is really why early on we had cell phones.
You should pay for it.
By the time you put everything together, it's like I'm making $150 for the whole weekend. This sucks. I don't even want to. It was so depressing. I didn't want to look at the numbers and such, even though that is such a critical thing to know and understand. Because if you don't have a concept of what that is, you end up basically funding someone's. I'd be like you were saying earlier. Oh, if I charge $400, I'm paying $100, or it costs me $100 to come and perform for you.
Right. But you know, the thing is that I'm not beating you up if you don't make any money at your event. I'm not even beating you up for it. I'm beating you up if you do it and you lose money. What you pay yourself is up to you. I don't care. But at least go out there and recoup your investment. That's it. If you can start there, because it's baby steps, John.
Mm-hmm.
We can't tell these people to go out there and go from, you know, I don't know, working at the drugstore to owning the drugstore. I mean, there are steps you have to take to get to that place. So, or working on the farm or buying the farm, there are steps that you must take. There are steps you must take in this too. And let's do baby steps. Let's at least recoup our investment. And hopefully you can build a little bit in there that you can take home for yourself.
The baby steps is such a great concept, because so many times they think, oh, and I think I saw one of the posts or comments there, if I buy the gear, I can charge the money. And it's,
really? That would be like me going out and buying all of the mechanics tools to fix a car.
Yeah.
I got all these tools. I even bought a garage, a beautiful garage, had it remodeled. No expenses spared on this. It looks fantastic. It's Brian's Auto Repair.
Mm-hmm. I
got all these tools. I got beautiful bays to pull your cars into. I've got a shuttle service to bring you back and forth to work. I've got little candies in a dish. I've got receptionists. I got everything, but I don't know how to fix a car.
Mm-hmm.
I have the tools, but I don't know how to fix it. The equipment and all that stuff, to really, my gosh, that's like icing on the cake for what I do. That has nothing to really do with what the customers actually buy from me. They're really only aware of what my equipment's like when we're at the gig, and they hear it and they see it and they experience it. And where I think that the equipment bit, a couple places that equipment helps you. It helps you if you get the good stuff, it's reliable. And then if it sounds good and looks good, then others will see it at the event and they will be attracted to you as perhaps a future consideration for when they might need a DJ, or if they know somebody's looking for one. They say, yeah, I saw a really good one. Looked good, sounded good. Everybody was having fun. But from the initial sales point of view, who cares? I don't tell my clients about my equipment. Do you?
Nope, I never do, because basically if I do that, then I'm competing with everyone else who has a credit card.
Yeah.
And that's never going to work. You had mentioned earlier you are selling peace of mind. And
really, it is.
And that was a direction I've used for quite a long time. Now I've been using the line of that we're going to basically create your reception. We're going to be creating kind of a movie or what have you with that. And we're going to have this performance where it's going to be different things happening and different acts and things coming and going and people doing different parts of your day. And it really becomes my job as kind of the entertainment and facilitator of this to make sure these things are happening and flowing so you don't have to worry about anything. And then, again, selling the peace of mind and then selling them that fun atmosphere and creating a soundtrack for their wedding. These little things that are trying to paint a picture in their mind of kind of oh, wow, I never thought about it that way. Now coming out and saying, really as a DJ, I'm creating a soundtrack for your wedding day. That is going to be something your friends are going to remember. No, that's coming after. But when you can kind of describe in more of a flowery way some of these aspects of what you can bring to the table and not be BSing them, but basically saying, hey,
I think that's what the UK sees a lot when we talk about this kind of stuff. It sounds like that we're just BSing them.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like we're just being American about it, quite frankly. That's well, okay. The people in the UK think they're more direct. They feel that they're more upfront and direct than we are. I don't know that that's true, but that's what they believe because they perceive us as to, like, okay, when our friends come over from the UK to go to Mobile Beat, for instance, and we go to someplace like the Peppermill, right?
Mm-hmm.
The waitresses blow them away. She is not sincere at all. She keeps coming up and asking us how we are. She doesn't care how we are. She is full of shit. I'm like, well, hold on a minute. Is your food hot? Is your shake good? And if it isn't, send it back. She'll take it. Who cares if she's sincere or not? You're getting service. Period. Mm-hmm. They're not used to that. They see that as insincere, and I don't believe it's insincere. I think they're just trying their best to take care of us. And they're not all fantastic actors, Some of them you can see right through, but hey, as long as my food's hot and on time, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
My order's right. Doesn't bother me at all. But the other thing I will mention too, my thought I had before I walked into that door, I can't remember what it was because I got brain damage. Oh, I know what I was going to say. You're talking about, how we're selling, or we're talking about how we're selling, this peace of mind and this experience and not just, 4 hours of DJing. One thing that I do want to say is that I didn't decide that that's what I wanted to do. That's what my customers decided they wanted. And for a long time, I didn't see that. I was kind of, I guess, pushing back from it because I'm a DJ. I don't want to do all this other stuff. I'm not interested in this coordination stuff. This isn't my problem. Look, I'm your DJ. I'm going to come in. I'm going to do this. All this other crap, hire a wedding coordinator for. That's not what I do. I had to change the way I thought about my job. And I do love to DJ. I'm not real excited about being a consultant sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
But I do know that it takes being a consultant to get to the place I want to be, which is DJing for their wedding. Yeah. But it wasn't me who decided that they needed this service. They decided they needed the service. and I had to decide to provide it to them. Now,
And
if their expectations of me were really low, they may just assume I don't provide that service at all for them. So I would have to kind of somehow express to them that I can indeed provide this service for them.
or they may decide that because their expectations of you are low and your pricing is low and all the different aspects of it, that they wouldn't even want you. I'm paying him, $200. Why would I want him to do this important part of my day? I'm going to give it to Uncle Fred to be the MC during the dinner time, because how good could he be? He's just there to play music.
Yeah. They actually have, I forget what they call them. They're MCs, basically, master of ceremony kind of thing over there. It's almost like, oh boy, what is it? Toastmasters. It's almost like Toastmasters, but it's Toastmasters UK. And these gentlemen are dressed a certain way. They wear red jackets, and they're part of this fraternity.
Yeah. And
that's what they do. And I've heard a lot of DJs say, look, I don't do this. This is what they hire these guys to do. And they come in and they do this in a certain fashion. And my question was, well, why don't you learn how to do that? Like, well, no, that's not my job. I'm the DJ. I got over that a long time ago. This is what they want. So, okay, we're going to incorporate that into the service and figure out how to do it and make it happen. I forget what they call those guys.
Yeah, I've seen pictures, but I myself am not familiar, and I haven't seen anybody in the chat room. They've been talking about other things and
they're not paying any attention to us as usual. Turn the volume down. They're done and hear us talking.
They'll just turn the music up a little bit.
I'm paying attention to them. I noticed that Howie said something about carburetor gears, which I thought was funny. But I didn't comment on the time because we were talking about other things.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a tough situation. One of the areas that reason I asked you earlier, as far as which one's more progressed, as far as more, older is actually probably the better way, more established, because in the religious community they refer to the UK as a more advanced, and they're farther along, whereas the US is considered more of a younger Christian nation, for lack of a better description.
Nope.
And so
in this case.
In this case, it's really the opposite, where we have a more established, defined industry here, and they're kind of coming in and learning some of the things that we have. Some of the lessons that we have learned here are things that could apply. Some of them will not, just because of the saturation of DJs and how different things work. As even like between U.S. and Canada, there's some lessons or some things that we do here that won't work up there, and some of those things that they do there that won't work here. And part of those differences is just music licensing and how that all fits into the practice. I mean, there's just so many variables. So it really becomes a difficult thing to say, these are the 5 things you need to do, because there's nuances, and some things will work better for people than others.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. The thing that blew my mind, the first time I ever traveled abroad, the first time I ever left the country, I went to Sydney, Australia. And I guess as an American, my perception of Australia was, besides Olivia Newton-John and XS and the Road Warrior, was Crocodile Dundee, kind of thing. And I thought, wow, these people are not going to be as educated as, say, the British, because I've always, believed that the British were it was civilization, here we go. They're, and I was so blown away. They were smart. They were articulate. The place was clean. Everybody was cool. It was amazing. I couldn't believe it. I felt stupid over there. But they were really cool. They were cool people, and they were smart people. When I went to England, it kind of surprised me. There's a class system over there, Yeah. And you are either here or you are there. And if you're here, you're never going to be here. So be happy with being here. Just deal with it. It's crowded. A lot of people they to me, they seem unhappy. Um, it's just not what I expected. Not at all.
Interesting.
And
yeah,
go ahead.
interesting. You mentioned, of course, that people are here in the class system. Is there a motivation? And most of the time, when you're here, with a lot of people, they're trying to, oh, I want to make it so that I can make the world a better place for my kids, or I want to set my kids up so they're going to be more successful than I was. I mean, that seemed to be kind of a driving force, especially coming out of the baby boomer generation, wanting to make it a better world and clean up some of the issues and make it so that their kids didn't have to work as hard or put it whatever it was. Do you think that same mentality is prevalent in the UK, or is it that this is basically the hand we've been dealt? We were once sweepers of the back room, and we're always going to be sweepers of the back room. There isn't that aspiration to
Kind of where it is, man. It's kind of where it is. I mean, that's been my observation and my impression. And to anyone out there watching, I apologize if it's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've seen. The don't set your hopes too high, kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is who you are. This is where you belong. And that's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. But I think that's where a lot of people are over there. I mean, they dress better than we do. They dress a lot better than we do. They've got better music than we have in general. I mean, turn on the radio. I love their music. Their chocolate's wonderful. I love their chocolate. They don't worry about some of the things that we worry about. They're not as concerned with some of the things that we're concerned with. On the other hand, they're very much like us in other ways. I mean, they don't have homes like we do. They have kind of terrace houses and small yards that they call gardens that they love. They love the gardens over there, even though they're smaller than mine. They love them. So, yeah, it's just a different world. But they need help.
Mm-hmm.
They don't. I just don't want them to lose money on this deal.
Yeah.
As passionate as they are, my big hope is that I can at least convince a good handful of people that they not only should they stop trying to sell that 4 hours of music and that's it, but they should also at least make sure they break even on the deal. Worst case scenario.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Whether they like me or not, whether they agree with me or not on a lot of other things, that's what I would like to try to help these folks with and help them find a way to achieve it. So
yeah, selling that 4 hour, because that's we all get that here, there, everywhere. How much does it cost for 4 hours? Well, I can give you a price for 4 hours at $500. Oh,
I got a call the other day from actually a friend of Scott Davies' daughter, AJ, the guy who's the vice president of AJ. His daughter's friend, who I know, who lives here. She messaged me yesterday and she says, "Yeah, I got a friend who's getting married. How much for that? How much DJ that wedding?" Well, depends on what's going on. Well, I think it's just going to be real chill, nothing big, just a couple hours in the backyard, I'm like, well, I got the date free, a couple hours in the backyard. I'll be very kind to you on it because you're a friend and I want to help you. And it sounds really easy. I'll be as kind as I possibly can to you. Just so you know, these are my expenses. I have to at least make this. So now it just kind of, it depends on how much you think I'm worth for the event,
Sure.
And it's not cool. I'll let them know. By the way, they might want you for the ceremony, but they don't know. And it's 2 women. It's a gay wedding. And if their parents are involved, they want to do something probably more traditional or something that appears to be traditional. And if that's the case, they might do a hall. And if that's the case, it might go longer with more guests. And I'm just sitting here listening to all this. I'm like, you know what? This figures, man. You want me to put all my cards on the table before you even tell me if you have cards or not?
Yeah.
And you just show me all this stuff. Well, just so you understand, all of that's different.
Yeah, precisely.
I can do it. I can totally handle it and do it. But yeah, that's not the same as showing up for a backyard boogie for 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very different deal.
Kind of reminds you of the time when, with all the reports that, the wedding industry is a ripoff. So call for a birthday party. Yeah, I've got a birthday party coming up. And then, oh, yeah, it's $250. Oh, great. And then how about a wedding? Well, why is it so much more? What's it? You're ripping people off. Yeah,
the wedding tax.
Yeah, the wedding tax.
I did a video on that. Did a couple videos on that. The last one I did was about a year ago because I think the Today Show did something. It's a golden oldie they pull out once in a while when they have a slow news day. The good news for the DJ industry is there's no such thing as a slow news day anymore. So they don't have time to talk about how much wedding DJs cost on the Today Show. They're covering way too many other topics.
Mm-hmm.
So we're good. They're not bored. They have plenty to do. Even in a 24-hour news cycle, they're not going to talk about that.
Yeah. Yes.
Not now. Not for a while.
Not for a while.
Gotta look at the bright side.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, we're going to wrap things up here. We are at 10 o'clock here. We don't want to take up everyone's full night. Thank you guys for being with us tonight. So, Brian, we got to figure out what time you and I will be on. I want to do one of the sections on Monday night, if it works out into your schedule, for the telethon. We'll find out which time block works in for that. But next Monday night, for those of you who hadn't heard, we're going to be doing a telethon from 6 until 12 o'clock. So basically 6 p.m. till 12 a.m. Central Time.
Monday.
On Monday.
Okay.
This is going to be we're going to be doing our Labor Day telethon, and this is going to be raising funds through. We have some auction items up. And then we're going to be doing donations and such, and all the proceeds that come in are going to be going towards relief efforts down in Houston. We've got a couple of different things. Ben Stowe has actually been doing some research to find out which one is going to, basically, for every dollar that we put in, that's going to be putting the most dollars into rebuilding. Yeah. So he's looking at which ones are going to be the best. To find out more information, go to discjockeynews.com/telethon. And that's where we have we've already got some prizes that have been sent in or that have been committed to that. So you guys can see the auction items. The auctions won't start until Monday. It's really going to be kind of a cool thing. Just the support. Somebody came up with the idea today, and it's like, you know what, let's run with that, because we as a DJ community can come together. And if we pool our $5 and $10 bills together, we can have a nice little chunk of change, because the company, the one that we're looking at, I think, has breakdowns. So if you can donate $50, that's going to buy 2 cans of paint to help repaint someone's house. If you can do $5,000 or so, that's like re-sheetrocking their whole lower level. Which, of course, if you guys have ever been involved with the flood, once that water comes up, everything, walls, insulation, basically, you have to take it down to the studs because of what's in the water and all the gross stuff that, the sewage and things that seep in there, and you have to get that out and get the mold killed and then rebuild everything. And
this is on topic and off topic, but I'm just curious, and maybe do they do cinder block homes down there, or is it like a
I've seen
wood
both.
frame?
I've seen both. The biggest real construction difference between down in that neck of the woods and up here is color of roofing. We use a darker shingle up here, and
they use lighter because it absorbs less heat.
Yeah, exactly. That's really the biggest difference between. Otherwise, it's very similar construction methods.
I was just thinking about the demolition. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, especially if you get into plaster.
Masonry, maybe not so much, but if it's wood, that's done.
Yeah, then you have to take it. It's such a hassle and such, but that's what happens. Floods. Katrina did that, and people stepped up, and now we have the chance to do that and help a little bit. So that's what we want to.
More higher populated area though.
Yeah,
we got a lot of people, a lot of homes. So yeah. Let's do something.
So that'll be Monday. You guys, I just put the link in the chat. The link is in the description below, so you guys can click on that and go check out what's there. Tomorrow there's going to be more gear. The lighting companies are going to be getting back and telling us what they're going to be doing as part of this project. So should be pretty neat. And you'll get more information and emails and such on Thursdays and Sunday as we get things put together. So, Brian, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you much for your time tonight and some of the thoughts on this. And hopefully there's a couple of folks out there. If nothing else, we've kind of maybe given them a little reassurance that they're not in this alone. That this is a struggle across the world.
Right on. Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. And Pete, thanks for the ride last week or week before last, whatever it was. Appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely good stuff. So everyone, have yourself a great evening. We'll catch you next week. Good night, everyone.